UFC 296 just recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. It was the final UFC event of 2023. And honestly, the card was pretty damn good. We'll get into each of the matchups. I'll start with the first fight of the night and then work my way up to the main event. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Also, a special thank you to everybody that's been supporting. We hit 25,000 subscribers on the live stream Fight Companion during UFC 296. I really appreciate you guys. So much love. We're on the way to 100K. Let's keep it going. Let's start it off. First fight on the card, Shamil Gaziev versus Martin Buday. Gaziev overwhelmed him with heavy punches and pressure. It seemed like there was a chance that Gaziev could gas out and maybe Buday gets like a late finish of a tired Gaziev. Didn't happen. Gaziev actually was able to maintain his stamina fairly well. And honestly, the amount of damage he did to Martin Buday's eye, it looked like the fight was going to be over, maybe even between rounds with the doctors taking a look at it. Shamil Gaziev put it on him. He attacked him. It was just constant big shots. We have just Buday turtling up, standing. Good stoppage by the referee. Gaziev has power. He's pretty solid on the feet. I'm very interested to see how he does moving up the ranks at heavyweight. In all honesty, he could be moved up pretty quickly because Martin Buday was on the cusp of probably fighting somebody in the top 15 with a win here. I think next time out, we could see Shamil Gaziev taking on somebody towards the very back end of the UFC heavyweight top 15. I'll just throw an idea out there. Let me bring up the rankings. As I got the damn Sean Strickland video from him and Dracus Duplessis playing during this. Look at it. Heavyweight, top 15, number 15, Marcos Rogerio de Lima, Rodrigo Nascimento. Neither of these guys are crazy for Shamil Gaziev to see next in his sophomore UFC appearance. I mean, Buday was unbeaten in the octagon, and I think he had some momentum, so might see him against somebody ranked. I like his game. I'm curious to see what happens if he takes on somebody that, you know, has pretty competent stand-up and a little more speed. But right now, Gaziev's doing pretty good. Unbeaten, good fighter. Good win. And an underdog. Next fight on the card, Andre Fili versus Lucas Almeida. Andre Fili put Lucas Almeida to sleep so brutally. As I'm watching the fight early in the first round, you see, and I said it on the live stream, man, Almeida is stiff. He comes in inside like a fucking board. And Fili made him pay. Cracked him with the straight. Down went Almeida. Ground and pound. It's over. Fight done. Andre Fili looked fast on the feet. He's been in the UFC forever at this point, and I feel like right now he's finding his flow. I mean, I guess realistically, he's in a weird spot, right? He's a guy that I see sticking around at 145 pounds until he decides to retire. But it would be shocking to me to see him emerge as a top 15 guy at this point. I think he's just one of those tough top 25ers. You know, he lost to Nathaniel Wood in real competitive fashion. He just brutally knocked out Almeida. There's more fun fights on the way. I don't have an exact opponent, but I'm pretty sure he'll be back pretty soon, maybe within the next 3 to 5 months. Is UFC 300? Nah, they're not going to put him on 300. He's an OG, but he don't have the name value for it. I'm thinking of a matchup. I don't know. I don't know right now with him. I'd have to really see the whole board of everybody in the UFC. And we'll see. We'll see with Fili what's next. Ultimately, though, nonetheless, I felt as though Andre Fili's hands looked devastating. And it was a good performance, man. Good win. Quick win. Easy win. Next fight on the card, Tagir Ulanbekov versus Cody Durden. This was my lock of the week, and not only did it hit, it was a perfect call with the submission as well. Now, I thought he was going to get the guillotine early on in the first round after he rocked Durden, but Durden's a dog and fought out of it. Ulanbekov eventually gets the win by submission. I got to tell you guys, man, Tagir Ulanbekov, he is a little bit on the overcautious side, and I think he's a little gun shy at times even. But he has a nice jab. He's got a good straight. He obviously has very tricky ground skills. 15-2, and very easily he could have been 17-0 heading into this damn, or after this fight now, 16-0 heading into it. I think you have to push him towards the rankings because he's 32. His only loss is controversial, competitive with Tim Elliott, who's really solid. I'm thinking you give him somebody in the back end of the rankings. Cody Durden's a tough out, and he's close to being a ranked guy. He's not, though. And Ulanbekov subbed him. I like what I saw from Ulanbekov. I like that he was the lock of the week and won. Durden had some moments, but Ulanbekov does it, man. He represented Dagestan well. Next fight on the card, Ariane Lipski versus Casey O'Neill. I picked Ariane Lipski to win on an upset, and that was an unpopular pick. And you know what? I was even shocked to see her get an armbar on Casey O'Neill. She destroyed O'Neill on the feet, fought off all of her takedown attempts, and then fucking nearly snaps her arm in the second round. I gotta say, Ariane Lipski has definitely evolved as a fighter. She always had good striking, but it's getting better. And then honestly, her takedown defense looks solid, and her confidence in grappling too was tremendous. This was that performance for Ariane Lipski, which now turns the tide to, okay, there's a chance that she is going to be in that top 15. Because I think for a while, a lot of us, even like after the Priscilla Cachoeira knockout loss, it's like, man, maybe Lipski really don't have it. She was a little overrated. She's a pretty girl that came in with some KSW wins and whatnot, Brazilian Muay Thai background, but maybe she doesn't really have the goods of the upper echelon. I mean, beating Casey O'Neill, who was an overrated, but nonetheless rated highly prospect. Like, people had a lot of high hope for O'Neill. She was undefeated up until 2 fights ago. Now she's 9-2 on a 2-fight losing streak, but her only loss outside of this was to Jennifer Maia, who's a top-ranked flyweight, or at least was before she was released from the UFC, or rather not re-signed. And I think Ariane Lipski, I mean, she definitely, I don't just think, I know Ariane Lipski was way more impressive against Casey O'Neill than Jennifer Maia was. So Lipski's in a pretty good position to continue to climb up the ranks. Good striking, dangerous jiu-jitsu. What's not to like? What's not to like about Ariane Lipski? Next fight. Cody Garbrandt versus Brian Kelleher. I ate crow on this one because I said Cody's washed and he's going to end up getting chinned. Boy, was I wrong. Cody Garbrandt knocked out Brian Kelleher in the first round with a beautiful right hook. And yeah, that was the fight. He hurt him multiple times. His hands look as fast as they've ever looked. I think Cody Garbrandt looked as close to that prime form as he had in a very long time. He, after the fight, called out Deiveson Figueiredo. And in all actuality, even though Figueiredo is coming off of a win who recently, or a win against the guy who recently defeated Cody Garbrandt, being Rob Font, I'm interested in seeing the fight between Cody Garbrandt and Deiveson because that was supposed to be the flyweight debut for Cody No Love. That was the matchup. And in all actuality, Deiveson Figueiredo doesn't make sense for a Petr Yan fight, or does Song Yadong seem more deserving? Depending upon the Yan situation, I think we might be looking at Cody Garbrandt, Deiveson Figueiredo. I think that the UFC could be interested in matching up two former champs. Cody snapped it back on. He knocked out Brian Kelleher. He's on a 2-fight win streak, and this one was a true reminiscent of what once was with Cody Garbrandt, which is devastating power, which is really nasty boxing, which is crazy-ass speed. He looked tremendous. Good win for Cody No Love. Next fight on the card, Irene Aldana and Karol Rosa in what was the fight of the night. These girls put it all on the line. I think this might be, at the very least, female fight of the year. I think so. First round, Karol Rosa was having so much success getting to Irene Aldana's legs that you hear the commentary, specifically Joe Rogan, like freaking out about her legs getting chopped apart. She's not going to be able to walk. If she keeps doing this, she's going to end up getting stopped with leg kicks, or, she's not going to be able to throw hard. Irene Aldana's like, nah, I feel them, but I'm just going to keep walking through them. And she put pressure on Rosa, took the second round, absorbing a lot of leg kicks, but landing more damage with her hands, and then beat the brakes off of Karol Rosa in the third round. Now, this is taking nothing away, though, from Rosa, because she put up a fight and a half. Aldana was just a freakish dog. Rosa's still throwing heat back, and both these girls are bloodied and bruised after the fight. But Rosa's eye was like swollen shut. She had been cracked by so many jabs and straight shots by Aldana. She looked like she, I just got into a damn brutal fight. And it was a brutal fight. It was one of those wars in the women's divisions that, I don't know, I think hold up well, that like give the women's division some respect with the fans. Because there's a lot of fans that, kind of get like, the women's fights. And sometimes I'll even say at times certain matchups, even this one, I didn't think it would be that good of a fight. Turns out to be fight of the night and one of the best female fights ever. Irene Aldana is an absolute fucking dog. Rosa did everything she could, but she couldn't stop the onslaught and pressure because Aldana's as tough as they come, and she has like freakish pain tolerance. She just keeps walking forward, even with her leg bothering her. And then after saying that her knee's damaged, that her knee's been damaged for a year, and she's been fighting through it. So Irene Aldana, she put herself in a good spot because she lost to Amanda Nunes, right? The greatest female fighter ever, who's now retired. Bueno Silva, Raquel Pennington fighting for the title. I don't think Aldana would be crazy far from the title picture with a win. So I'm interested in what's next because entertainment value with Aldana, you get fire. Great fight, great performance. Next fight on the card, it was Alonzo Menifield versus Dustin Jacoby. Alonzo Menifield made a fucking name for himself in this fight. His power is insane. Now, we always knew that he had punching power, but at times he would look so sloppy. He's cleaned up his striking a bit, and he's landing a lot more precise. He caught Dustin Jacoby with multiple wide hooks, and this is the former Glory kickboxer Dustin Jacoby getting dropped by Menifield, and he lost the fight, Jacoby, because he got dropped by a hook in that, in that third and final round, in a round that it looked like Jacoby was controlling distance and cleanly outstriking Menifield. Menifield drops the hammer on him. Down goes Jacoby. Now, he was able to regarner himself and recover for the most part, right? He's back up on his feet, but he's holding, right? He's trying to engage grappling. And it's like, what are you doing, Dustin Jacoby? Get back to striking. When they separated, you saw why. Because at the very end, Dustin Jacoby still had twinkle toes and was on pretty loose feet, losing his balance towards the very end. So it was actually a good move that he held on for dear life. And Alonzo Menifield got a well-deserved decision. His power is crazy. I think this is the best we've ever seen from him. He's in the top 15, and I think he's sending Dustin Jacoby out of the rankings. I'm looking at the light heavyweight top 15 right now. Jacoby was ranked at number 15 with Menifield at 14. He's in a weird spot where there's a lot of potential, like Azmat Mirzakhanov fight. That could be booked sometime later this year. I wouldn't be surprised, especially with Khalil Roundtree getting his fight now against Alexander Rakic at the upper echelon of the weight class. I think Menifield versus Mirzakhanov or even, Orion Span could end up making a lot of sense for Alonzo Menifield. For Dustin Jacoby, unfortunately, he will be booted from the rankings, and he's 1-3 in his last 4 now, which isn't a great look. He's not going to be a top guy. I could see him breaking into the back end of the top 15 again, for sure. I don't know what's next exactly, but Jacoby's still solid. Certain matchups he'll thrive in. This one here, it looked like he was on the way to winning in round 3 because he took the second, but Menifield, too much power. Good win for Menifield. Next fight brought us to our main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Josh Emmett nearly killed Bryce Mitchell, and that's not even an exaggeration. The fight starts slow and there's not a lot of strikes being thrown or landed. There's some kicks from the outside by Mitchell. He's waiting a lot though, and then you don't have to wait anymore. Overhand by Josh Emmett flatlines Bryce Mitchell. Not only does it knock him out and then, slowly does Bryce Mitchell regather consciousness. No, he gets knocked out and then he has a full fucking seizure and he's convulsing. And then even minutes after, as he's back on his feet, he's all off balance and loose every which way. That was one of the most brutal knockouts with punches specifically that I've seen. Josh Emmett has insane punching power and is crazy explosive. And it sounded like a fucking baseball bat hit Bryce Mitchell. That's how hard Josh Emmett punches. He went flat out viciously. And when he got up, he didn't know what was going on. He was still trying to talk and move around, but they were holding him because he couldn't walk straight. He was dazed as they get. he got dropped viciously. Josh Emmett had one of those performances that is like, yeah, I'm still in the mix here, guys. Stop counting me out. Now, what's next for Josh Emmett? He is nearly 39, and I think I'd rather see him in a fun fight than like being pushed too far up the ranks. I don't know. Name of Giga Chikadze in a rebooking, if the timelines work out, doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me at all. I think there's a good possibility of it. That's a decent fight also, if I'm looking at the weight class, right? Let's see here. I'm going to lose my shit. I keep clicking the wrong thing. All right. So we have number 10, Bryce Mitchell. Number 6, Josh Emmett. I think Giga Chikadze in a rematch would make a ton of sense. I'm open as hell to that. Or rematch. Rebooking. I want to see them rebook it. For Bryce, take some fucking time off, man. Because that was one of those brutal concussions that I worry could have long-term damage on his career. So, Josh Emmett, sick W nonetheless. Flattened him. Next fight, it was Paddy Pimblett versus Tony Ferguson. We'll say this. Spirited effort for Tony Ferguson for sure, but Paddy destroyed him. Paddy hurt him in the first round, and it was honestly just pure grit that Tony was even able to survive that first round where he was rocked on the feet. I feel like Paddy Pimblett just showed that he had Tony's number everywhere. In the striking, Paddy was touching him. Tony Ferguson was having a hard time closing the gap on him. He'd come inside too square and stiff. In the grappling, Paddy was too athletic, too fast, too in his prime. And this was the best performance I've seen from Paddy Pimblett. This was mythical cornrow Paddy Pimblett. He brought a new haircut into the cage. He put the cornrows on, and he said he was going to start doing that when he's taking the fights more seriously. Paddy Pimblett definitely took this fight seriously, and he looked as legit as you can get. Now, in the third round, he was gassed, but he really tried hard to finish Tony Ferguson, which he was unable to do. Tony Ferguson ultimately still ended up on his back, getting controlled by Paddy Pimblett heading into the end of the fight. Gas Paddy, though, if he can't get you down, he would have been in trouble on the feet because he's bleeding out of his mouth and he was tired. But it was a really good win nonetheless for Paddy Pimblett against the, legendary Tony Ferguson. Now, we know Paddy's having kids in April. He doesn't want to fight at 300. How about maybe Renato Moicano versus Drew Dober, loser, even to take on Paddy Pimblett? I don't hate that at all. I could see the loser facing off with him. If not, a Bobby Green fight sometime in the summertime. Makes a lot of sense to me. For Tony Ferguson, though, we got to talk. In all honesty, he needs to retire from fighting. He should retire from fighting. But I totally understand why he wants one more. He can't let go. If we're going to give him one more, and it wouldn't be crazy if the UFC did, can we give him somebody that is Clay Guida? Or better yet, can we get Joe Lozon out of retirement to come fight him? He was supposed to fight Cowboy in his send-off. He comes out to fight Tony Ferguson in a last dance type situation. Maybe Lozon would be into it. Something like that. I don't want to see Tony Ferguson taking on a young prospect. I don't want to see him taking on a guy that has upward trending potential. He needs to take on guys that are in their later stage or even falling off completely. Like if we get BJ Penn out of retirement, Tony Ferguson, BJ Penn, loser, has the longest losing streak in UFC history. At 155, let's book the super fight. Ferguson, BJ Penn, boom. Degenerate, sick, disgusting, sure. But tell me, would you not be curious to see BJ Penn and Tony Ferguson? That's what I want. That's what I'm voting for. BJ Penn, Tony Ferguson. Now, it's probably unrealistic. Maybe like a Clay Guida fight would make more sense. Logistically speaking, is what it is. Tony lost. Paddy Pimblett did his thing. He looked good. Next fight, featured bout of the night. Shavkat Rakhmonov defeated Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He did it. He put pressure on Wonderboy. And when you close the gap, that's your best bet First round, mostly clinch work and strikes from there. Second round, Shavkat was able to start getting the takedowns going, get on top of Wonderboy, threaten with a couple submissions, then eventually get the win by submission. He forced Wonderboy to tap to a rear naked choke with just seconds left in round number 2, but I think Wonderboy was about to go out because it was fully under the chin. Wonderboy had never been submitted as a professional, so even if you didn't love the performance, maybe you said, damn, this fight was kind of boring. I saw people in the chat saying that during the fights. And how I'm thinking here is Shavkat just submitted Wonderboy, who had never been submitted before. He just dominated on the ground and subbed him. Gilbert Burns couldn't submit him, jiu-jitsu champion. Bilal Muhammad couldn't submit him nor finish him. Pressure wrestling specialist with insane cardio. Shavkat is that dude. He's 18-0 now. And Shavkat is surging up the ranks as a legit threat to the world title. Now, we have a weird situation with Shavkat because who we going to have him fight? Who we going to have him fight? Bilal's most likely in a title fight. We'll talk about that with the main event. Shavkat might be forced to sit on the sidelines and wait for a little while until somebody comes on up, maybe as a backup for a Bilal Muhammad title fight. We'll get into that as we talk the main event of the evening. Nonetheless, Shavkat with an epic performance and definitely cemented his status as a legit threat to the title. Co-main event, Alexandre Pantoja, Brandon Royval 2. It went the full 5. Pantoja, for the most part, dominated with the grappling. That's what got him the win. Brandon Royval was tough and had striking moments, and he gave it hell, but ultimately Pantoja's takedowns and top game was just too much for Brandon Royval, and it was suffocating pressure and control by Pantoja that won him it on the judges' scorecards. He played it on the safer side for sure at the very end, but I think it was honestly rightful to do so because there's a ton on the line. You're the champion now, and Royval is crazy. He's still chaotic and dangerous. Like I've always said, he's like a tornado. Pantoja's in a spot now where it's one of two options next. Amir Albazi, right? Or Pantoja versus Moreno, part 4, another quadrilogy for Moreno. I don't hate the idea of part 4, though. We'll see. I think the winner of Albazi versus Moreno is the most sensible next fight to make for Pantoja. That's like a clear-cut contender. Now, you could say somebody like a Manel Kopp, who's big, powerful. He's not big, but who's got, punching power. He's got big power, right? He's got a big personality. He's got a big vibe to him. Maybe Kopp Pantoja, too, is an interesting fight. We'll see what the UFC ends up doing, but in all honesty, everything's kind of porting towards, the winner of Moreno versus Albazi. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. This was the final fight of 2023. And in all honesty, it was underwhelming. More so striking sparring match for a lot of it, with Leon Edwards picking apart a Colby Covington, who I think went out there and had an embarrassing performance. He looked horrendous with his boxing. He had minimal kicking offense. His takedowns looked slower than I've ever seen. And besides a couple of times where he got position on Leon Edwards, Leon then would return the favor and put Colby Covington on his back to be like, hey, I can out-grapple you. Colby looked horrible. I mean, Leon looked good. I'm not trying to take anything away from Leon. I already see the comments. Dude, you're such a Leon hater. Nothing he can do is ever good enough. He neutralized Colby Covington beautifully. But if you told me Colby Covington would just sit and strike with Leon Edwards for 5 rounds or 4 for the most part rounds. I mean, granted, there's moments that Colby was on top, but most of the fight he'd be striking. I would have said, yeah, well, Leon will knock him out. Leon didn't. Leon didn't knock him out. He picked him apart for sure. He picked him apart cleanly, but it wasn't a knockout. It wasn't that scintillating win. And then in the 5th round, Leon Edwards finishes the fight on the bottom with Colby Covington in half guard top position, throwing strikes. Leon just held on from the bottom, and Colby throws some ground and pound. After the fight, Colby Covington acted as if he won, said that he thought he won the decision. He sounded like he was completely delusional and out of touch with reality altogether. Now, I don't know if that's just him sticking with the character, but enough of the fucking shtick sometimes. Ultimately, you lost clearly. And I would have much preferred a Colby come and say, listen, he got me. He got me. And I apologize for what I say. That's what he should have said after the fight. It was crossed the line. He wants to keep it in character, right? If you're a Colby Covington fan before the fight, I'm telling you, 30% of you are not after. Maybe 50. Fuck that. He fought like a moron. Why would he sit and strike with Leon? I'm sitting there thinking to myself, Colby, you're trying to strike with Leon? You're still chicken winning your fucking left hand. Still got the chicken wing like the worst I've ever seen. You walk into a boxing gym, first thing they'll tell you is don't chicken wing, bro. If you've ever boxed before, the chicken wing is taught never. It's, neutralized as soon as you see it. I remember being a little kid in the boxing gym with my dad and the coach there telling me, that, no, you never want a chicken wing. What are you doing? Flixes it. At a young age, this guy is challenging for world titles, chicken winging it. Yeah, chicken winging it. I can't even say wing. Whatever. Leon Edwards beat the shit out of him. Colby Covington looked horrible. And ultimately, I think it was embarrassing. And then after the fight, the fucking let's go, make America great. It's not even about the politics side. Listen, I'm not telling you I disagree with the politics side. I'm saying this. Colby Covington is not the guy that should represent the fucking Donald Trump and all his supporters, please, because he pushes that asshole line a little bit too far. And I also feel as though it was an embarrassing performance where he fought stupidly. Now, I don't know if he's coming in with an injury. Yeah, he had a long layoff. But he looked like shit. And Leon picked him apart, as he should have. But Colby Covington, for the whole first, second round, he's like on the back foot. For most of the fight, he's on the back foot, getting out kickbox, trying to strike with him, throwing these terrible straights from the outside. And Leon patiently, calmly picks him apart. Yes, Leon Edwards got a dominant win. I know the British fans are ready to fucking come after me. But let's be honest. Colby Covington, he looked trash. It was a horrible game plan. The guy who's going to bring the fight to Leon in the way that a lot of people thought Colby would, Belal Muhammad. Remember the fucking name. Belal is next in line. That's probably the best fight for him right now. I mean, yeah, Shavkat's also on the run up, but I think Shavkat is in a spot where maybe he fights Colby. How I'm looking at it though, okay? Leon Edwards has beaten the last generation's best. It's time to run it back with Belal after the no contest, and let's see what happens. That's the most sensible fight. Colby Covington, his name got him into this spot. Belal is on a 10-fight unbeaten streak. That's what we all want to see. Two of the longest win streaks in UFC welterweight history, matched up, UFC history period, matched up against one another. It's what has to be next. Issue is, and let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, I don't think Leon Edwards is a needle mover whatsoever, specifically with American fans. And Belal Muhammad is also not a needle mover whatsoever, specifically with American fans, probably English fans, probably most fans besides Arab fans. Now, this is not me shitting on Belal. I actually think he's a pretty badass fighter. But I'm looking at it like this. They can't be a main event on a pay-per-view. They need to be carried. UFC 300. It's a super card. Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad on that card. You slip it in. Beautiful. Beautiful. You do it on the mega card. That's what I'm thinking. Because by itself, it's not going to hold up. That pay-per-view is going to fucking tank. Nunes Aldana does more buys than Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. It's a shit pay-per-view. Now, I'm not saying it's shit is actually what would happen. I'm not saying it's shit as far as the fight. And as a hardcore, yeah, I'm going to fucking obviously tune in, me. But I'm talking about the casual audience and the, somewhere lukewarm in the middle. I don't think Leon Edwards is getting them excited to pay $80 for fights. So he needs to be on like a UFC 300. Now, for Colby, though, in a perfect world, he probably would fight Shavkat, but knowing Colby, who knows what he wants to do? He's talking about coming back and do it again. I have no idea. He's out of touch, man. He's done. It's over. He's never fighting for the title again. Leon clearly kicked his ass, and for the fact that he fought, like if he would have went out there, tried to stick to a pressure wrestling game plan, and Leon Edwards would have knocked him out in the first round, I would have said, hey, at least you went for it. But the fact that he ends up going 5 rounds and fucking most of the time trying to strike and then finishes the fight on top and then to celebrate after as if you won, just not appealing, man. It's just not an appealing guy that you want to tune into, not a guy that you get excited about. It looked like shit. It was a stupid game plan. The fight IQ was -17 or something like that. Just dumb. Colby Covington, it is what it is. And Leon Edwards got the win, and he is legit. He's a masterclass as far as his skills go. This is me not trying to take anything away from Leon's skills. Leon's skills are immaculate. Colby Covington, I expected more out of. He turned out to look like shit. But Leon, nonetheless, I'm not taking credit away. It was a dominant win. Clean win. Let's look at how my picks held up for the final card of 2023. 8 wins and 4 losses. Picked Leon Edwards, 1. Pick Alexandre Pantoja, 1. Pick Shavkat, 1. Now, I pick flip to Tony Ferguson emotionally, but if you would have followed me from Sunday, where I'm more technical and analytical, I don't get fucking carried away with delusion, I would have won with Paddy. But it is what it is. I pick flip to Tony after the weigh-in. It's an L. Josh Emmett, Bryce Mitchell, I was wrong there. I called Mitchell, and damn was I wrong. I called Jacoby over Menifield. No, did not happen. Menifield got him. Called Aldana over Rosa by decision. Good call, and the fight was way better than I thought. Thought Kelleher had a chance to knock out Cody Garbrandt. Boy, was I wrong. Picked Lipski as an underdog over O'Neal. Fuck yeah. Ulanbekov, lock of the week over Cody Durden by submission. Perfect prediction. Money, absolute savage lock. The lock streak's running again, and flyweight seems like my strong weight class. Andre Fili, Lucas Almeida. Andre Fili got it done, picked him. Picked Shamil Gaziev as a dog with Buday. So nonetheless, I'm happy. And going in to 2024 with a lock streak feels very good to me. It's 2 weeks in a row now. You guys know, some weeks back, I had 9 wins in a row. Then I had, a little bit of Fumble City. Lost it with a draw and then a loss the next week. Got a win, then took a loss. Now we're back again. The win streak's flowing once again. I'm feeling good. 2 in a row, back-to-back flyweight weeks too. I'm looking forward to the UFC comeback card in January. I'll be doing early predictions for that too, so keep your eyes peeled. But I'm happy with how UFC 296 turned out. It was a very good card. The cherry on top with the main event maybe wasn't the best fight ever, but I still enjoyed it. And we still got to see some beautiful violence. Definitely better than not having UFC on. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the recap show. That is 2023. Holy shit. Keep your eyes peeled on the channel because I'm still going to be doing live streams and content daily, videos, news reactions, opinions, etc. So keep it locked in right here at the MMA Experts channel. Later today, December 17th, I'll drop some early predictions for that Ankalaev Walker card. So still content coming. Don't miss it. Much love, guys. Thank you for 25,000. I appreciate each and every one of you who've been supporting. If you're not going to stick around for the off weeks content, well, I will see you in 2024 for the UFC content. Much love, everybody. Thank you for watching. Smash the likes, subscribe, W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Post notifications turned on, not just personalized. Put them on all so you don't miss a video. And if you really enjoy the content, share it as well. Thank you, guys. See you in the next one. Peace.